So I am Hector Villarreal. I am based in the Dominican Republic, facilitator for many years. I know most of you joining us. Glad to have you here. I've been using technology for a while now. Back in 1996, supporting technology for learning processes back in the day. And in 2015, I had the chance to meet this guy, Alex, in Florida. Some of you know this story, but he allowed me to translate his software into Spanish from English to Spanish. Yeah, his French software into Spanish, and back from there on, we've been working together, doing stuff and enjoying what technology can do for people facilitated. So, Alex, if you can introduce yourself, please go ahead.
Yes, very quickly. So my name is Alexandre Eisenstetter. This is why everybody calls me Alex. And as you can hear from my terrible French accent, I'm French. And I'm sorry, you will have to endure that accent for at least 90 minutes. I have been facilitating workshops since a long time, and it's been more than a decade that I have been experimenting with technology, and I have built Stormz exactly for that, as a way to help me in my facilitation practice. And I think I've run several hundreds of workshops combining high technology and low technology in-person workshops. I've been doing that a lot. So today I'm gonna try to deliver all the things that I've learned throughout these years. And as Hector said, we've been working together since 2015, and a lot of this experience is something that we have shared. So this is all for me, Hector.
Yeah. And so what's going to be happening? Let's give our participants just a glimpse of what's going to be happening during our session today. We aim to show you a little bit of tips and tricks on the low and high tech for face-to-face sessions, how to use it effectively. And we aim to also give you would be like a definition, or kind of like a definition, some of the digital do's and don'ts, and some high and low examples. But we aim to do this interactively. We don't like to be talking all the time, right, Alex? We love people to participate, and in order for you to do that, we like to know what you know, right? So in order, let's, before we get started, let's go. Yeah, I think we should jump directly to. Let's go with the next slide, please, just to let's give them a bit of a foundation for what we understand by low tech and high tech. So what normally we understand, there's we would say a typical perspective, binary perspective in terms of what's low tech. We think it's easily available. It goes from stick and stones all the way to post-its, flip charts, cards, props, power. I don't know if PowerPoint would be included into the process. That would be like a presentation kind of thing. It might be considered low tech by some people nowadays, but we would say everything that's physical, everything that it has been used for a while now in terms of process facilitation.
And just if I can add, we prefer this kind of definition, mostly used for a decade. Participants can use it without much instruction, because each one of the things that you see on the left side of the screen, it's not low tech. I mean, I've been manufacturing post-it notes in a previous life, and the glue that is beneath the post-it note is high technology. So really, when it comes to facilitation practice, when we refer to low tech, it means that it's something that has been available for a long time, easily available, no need for instruction to use it, etc., etc.
Yeah. So and what's considered high tech? Well, high tech, it's been a while. It's been around for a while, actually. The first group decision support systems go back to the 70s and 80s, actually. And you can see like there, the Air Force decision-making room where people had their computers where information was presented and they were typing data. You have then the click pads where people could vote into items. Now that's being popularized by Mentimeter and other just audience participation tools, all the way to decision support system that are much more complex, such a much more rich in terms of features, right? And we normally consider that high tech is it means digitally enabled, that you need to have a computer, that it needs a lot of preparation and high level of computer knowledge. And that's the paradigm. It doesn't mean it is, but it's what normally people think or consider that is high tech. We think that's a kind of like a mistake nowadays, but that's what normally is being considered high tech or low tech, right? And that's the typical perspective. But but there might be other things that you use. So we want to kind of do a little bit of a brainstorm together. We're going to go into breakouts quickly so you can meet colleagues. You can go out and meet with some colleagues, but we want to do this out of based in language. So please, if you would like to participate in Spanish language breakout room, select English or Spanish, depending on the language that you want to use. Please go ahead and we will be able to just put together groups, breakout rooms where you can help us out identifying what if you would either what are the knowledge and tools that you normally use. And everything that's not talking, it's considered a technology, by the way. Everything that is not talking could be considered a technology, yeah.
So before we move on to the breakout, Hector, would you like me to demonstrate how to use Stormz to do this brainstorming?
Oh, yes, sure.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to do that. I need to share my screen again. So we're going to paste a link in the chat of Zoom. And when you click on that link, it's going to open a browser. And you're going to go, if you don't have a Stormz account, maybe you have one, but if you don't have one, you can use a guest account, meaning that you don't have to give us your email. So just write down your name here, click on OK, I'm ready. And this way, you're going to go into that, and you're going to see the first activity that we're going to do in breakouts, right, Hector? This is the one we're going to do?
Yes, okay, so go into listing of technologies, correct.
Yeah. And then you see that, so Hector, what do we have to do in the breakout? Discuss together and
just discuss and let's get together and into rhythm in terms of what are the technologies that that help or support or aid their facilitated sessions.
Okay, so each time you think of a technology, you click on the plus button and you write down the technology that you think of.
Correct.
And you save it. And you write down as many as you can. And Hector, at this stage, can we see the contributions from the other people?
Yes, they can. Actually, you're going to be able to see everybody.
Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, so this is how you're going to do that in the breakout. And Hector, now you can do whatever you need to do.
So now that we have the rooms ready, we're going to send you into breakouts. You're going to have just a quick, please introduce yourselves to one another. Be civil. Introduce yourself, where you're connecting from, where your name, and after that you can start doing the brainstorming to see what other technologies you're using currently. Okay, is that good? Are we ready to go? Can you give me a thumbs up if we are ready? Perfect. So cool. 3, 2, 1. Let's go into the breakouts. In the chat, you'll be able to see you're going to have 5 minutes. 5 minutes to do this as well. Thank you, Jimena. See you in a little bit. And welcome back. So how do you see the brainstorm, Alex? Lots of software there. Huh. Lots of software. I mean, when we talk about technology, we normally think about software. and we had plenty of software there. But it's interesting. I don't see cards. You know, like when you use cards, like cards with photographs and stuff. Is there?
It's there, yeah.
It's there.
uh,
It's there.
oh yeah,
It's
cards.
The
Yeah,
third
no,
one.
but that would be quite like white cards. I'm talking about like
Okay.
like photo cards. When you
Oh,
use photo cards, or we use some facilitation cards when there's a process that use cards for getting into interaction. So
Visual
there's
Explorer used to be a tool, Hector. Visual Explorer, it was picked up by CCL.
yeah. Okay, but for
You
example,
you have post-its. You have post-its. When
there's
you
post-its
think,
there.
yeah, but it
But
was
for
only
example,
mentioned once, which is
Yeah.
probably not the case. I mean, I guess all of you are using post-it notes. Vince, and you know, it's always a little bit of a when I see the name of all my competitors, but it's okay. I'm going to survive this one. And by the way, I mean, Mentimeter is what we call then engagement and interactive software, quite the same as, did I see some
Slido.
other?
Slido's
Yeah,
not there.
Slido, but it's not here. And then you have Mural and Miro, and Jamboard, which are basically virtual whiteboards. So, and then you have all the Zoom, Adobe Connect, video conferencing, etc. So lots of software indeed. But one of the points we wanted to make is that, in fact, we had much more than software that could be tools. Later in the presentation, we're going to mention, for example, the Catchbox, which is a throwable, difficult to say for me, throwable microphone, a microphone that you can throw. So these are examples. Or you also have timers. You also have low-tech tools like card decks that are indeed technology, and you can do a lot of things, but they are low technologies. Anyway, that's interesting to see that. Anything else? Anything you notice from this list, or something that is missing? Any comments from everyone?
Well,
Go ahead, Beatrice.
Our group didn't contribute anything to this because we were too busy just getting to know each other. Very low tech, but very enjoyable.
Discussion is indeed one of the most, one of the greatest mechanics that we can have in low tech.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see that just in a minute, by the way. Okay, anything else? Yes, Mary-Ellen.
I see photos, but the other thing I've been doing a lot of in the past 10 years is video as well. And sometimes it's a combination of photos and videos, especially if you want to show something that the consumer is doing, you know, taking videos of their home or them shopping, that kind of thing.
Okay. I've seen your photos. By the way, I even have a template installed with your photos. Okay, so shall we move on, Hector?
Let's go.
Okay, so we're going to start with some really interesting foundations, because when I want to speak about something, I like the thing to be practical, but I like to link the practical with some foundations, some principles, so that we can have an in-depth understanding of what we are doing. And here I'm going to ask the question, low-tech versus high-tech. What are the differences? What are the strengths? And one of the questions we might have is this a fight of low-tech against high-tech? And if you know me, you probably know the answer that no, it's not a fight, it's a combination, it's a blend that we want. Anyway, let's start. So low-tech is great for, and first of all, I'm going to show you some very wide modalities, and you'll see that they translate into activities. So low-tech is great for moving. I think moving is underrated in workshop. We like to move people, and it creates a great dynamic. Of course, talking and discussion, this is the kingdom for low-tech. Writing by hand, it's great because it's easy and fast. There is no better way. I mean, there are no high-tech tools for sketching that are really good nowadays, at least if you take the definition of easily accessible by everyone. I'm not speaking designers, but the normal participants sketching. Low-tech is great for sketching. Low-tech is great for touching, for giving something to someone, for sifting through content, and for building stuff. This is really what low-tech is great for. So let me show you an example on how it translates as an activity. So for example, if you take moving and talking, well, you can build some great energizers. Okay. Another example, if you're going to take 3 modalities, touching, giving, sifting through, well, you have one of my favorite low-tech activity, which is an inspiration activity leveraging card decks. Okay. And we could go on and on with different examples. So I'm going to go faster. So discussion activities, this is the one that we use every time. Low-tech is great for what I call popcorn ideation. I mean, I say something, Hector says something, Marie-Hélène says something else, and we build upon very quickly. High-pace ideation, low-tech is great for that. Visual thinking, doodling, sketching, and then if you translate building into an activity, you can do prototyping. So this is the kind of activities where low-tech is really great. And if we look at one example, so coming from a workshop I recently did, I created a deck of core company values, and so the tool in itself is just the deck, and then you have to build the low-tech activity around that, and you put them on the floor, and you ask participants to move in groups of 2 so that they can talk to each other, and then they touch the card, they sift through the different cards, and they give one card to another, they have to select. All of that, it gives a great dynamic. So this is an example of a pure low-tech activity. Okay, let's go to the other side now. High-tech. High-tech is great for, again, we're going to have a look at the modalities. High-tech is great for sharing, and especially instant sharing to a lot of people, for example. So in 1 second, you can share a lot of information to a lot of people, even if they are in different places. It's also great for writing clearly. I mean, who had to transcribe thousands of post-it notes and try to decipher the writing from the participants? I mean, I had to. I prefer to read the little cards on Miro or Stormz, especially Stormz. I don't know why. Anyway, it's also great for generating, and this is only from 2023 thanks to AI. So now you can have high-tech modalities of generating ideas, generating pictures, and stuff like that. One of the things that is less talked of is anonymizing. Anonymizing is very important for managing biases when you do an ideation, for example, and avoiding influencing each other. Or when you do a voting, avoiding to see where the boss is voting, where it would create a bias of influence. It's much easier to do the anonymizing with high-tech. Again, I'm not saying that you cannot do all of that with low-tech. I'm just saying High-tech is great for that. It's also very, very good for analyzing. And again, very quickly, instantly. It's very good for selecting. And finally, it's great for documenting because you have everything available instantly from the technology. And the last one is a special one because there is an emoticon of caution. Because sometimes there is a wow effect. I mean, 10 years ago, when you were showing a word cloud moving, everybody was saying, wow, it's beautiful. So
we had that last week. We had that 2 weeks ago with the AI too. We had
yeah, with the
some of our
AI, we
colleagues here
created
we
created a wow
effect too.
effect. Yeah, when it generated the images from the description of the participants. So wow effect is indeed a modality that is absolutely acceptable. Why there is a caution is the fact that it has been overused. It shouldn't be the aim of creating a wow effect most of the time because we are doing serious workshops. And some software providers, by the way, really have ridden on this wow effect, and they shouldn't have because it's not what is the most important. Anyway, if you know what you're doing, you can use it. Example of activities. So if you take the modalities of sharing instantly, writing clearly, generating content, and anonymizing the activities, well, high-tech can be great for ideating, okay? Especially when you have a large group of people or a large group, or you're going to generate a lot of ideas. If you take anonymizing again, analyzing, selecting, documenting, well, high-tech is great for decision-making, especially rating stuff. For example, doing a multiple criteria rating, we'll see that later. It's something that is very difficult and very boring and very slow to do it the low-tech way. And with the right tool, it can be very quick and much more, the analysis can be much more of high value. Other things, so high-tech is great for large groups. Clustering, all the converging activities are really great when you're doing you're using high-tech. It can create some visual results instantly that are very impressive, wow effect, but also great for extracting insights. It's these visual results, you wouldn't be able to have them instantly the low-tech way, and it's a great way to have better conversation in the room. And finally, it's also great for breakouts because they can take all their notes and all their insight and the output of their work, and it's very easy to get back in the room, have the report, display the report, do the pitch, etc. So one example of a fully high-tech activity in a room, and as you can see, it's not the standard room, right? This is this is in Paris. This is the
you didn't choose the room, right?
No, I didn't. This is the room where the Paris Parliament is debating, in fact. And there was a startup contest, and Stormz was used as a way for all the participants to rate the different startups and doing a multiple criteria rating. So it was great for capturing all the data, all the rating instantly from the different participants. It was guaranteeing the anonymity. The results were shared instantly, analyzed instantly, shown on a visual graph instantly, so that we could show who the winner was. And of course, then you got the export and you could document that in a click of a mouse. So yeah, so we can go the full low-tech way. We can go the full high-tech way. But really, so if you look at that, you would have the typical traditional low-tech facilitator. Their workshop will be great with moving, talking, writing, sketching, touching, giving, sifting through, and building. And maybe on the other side, you would have the high-tech facilitator, someone who's going to say, yeah, the post-it, I will never use them. And that would be great for generating things, sharing instantly, all the anonymizing, selecting, analyzing, documenting, and the wow effect. But really, why? Why should we limit ourselves to the low-tech realm or to the high-tech realm? What we need to be is a full-tech facilitator. And a full-tech facilitator has all the modalities at their disposition in order to build, to design the best workshop possible. Okay, so I'm showing you that because I know a lot of people who have a kind of reflex posture of saying, I will never use high-tech tools, digital tools, and screens for my in-person workshops. And then you have younger facilitator who are going to say, yeah, well, now I'm using Miro for everything. So all of that, you need nuance. You need to master all these modalities, the pros, the cons, and then pick the one that are the most relevant to the goal of your workshop. So let's become...
And the time that you have available.
Yeah.
That's something that needs to be considered fully, because the technology can be very helpful in that part.
Yeah. In fact, when you do a workshop, the first meeting that we do when I'm facilitating is this scope meeting where we collect all the goals from the organization, the what's in it for the participant, and all the constraints. How many people, how much time we have, where are they located, etc., etc. And based on that, sometimes we might choose, for exactly the same goal but different constraint, we might choose a low-tech tool or we might choose a high-tech tool.
I think one of the challenges that we have, Alex, is that we normally use the same tools over and over again. As facilitators, we use the same technology, the same methods, the same techniques. If you're a Lego Serious Play facilitator, you use Lego for everything. If you're a Stormz, you use only Stormz, or you use technology of participation or liberating structures. You kind of get fixed into the mindset of that way of facilitating. It's the way to do it, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's our job as professional facilitator to test new things regularly, to experiment, to get aware. Of course, you don't need to master all the thousands of tools that exist, but you need to have a toolbox. And you don't have, in your toolbox, you should have enough tool to be able to deliver the best possible workshop for your clients. So yeah, it's a matter of not too many, but not too few. What I'd like to do is now, because okay, we say we need to use digital tools, some high-tech tools, and now I would like to make a focus on digital tools, especially the one that have screens. And okay, let's say now we're okay, we want to use them for in-person workshops. You have to do it the right way. Okay, so that's the focus of the second interactive activity. And just a question, Hector, are we doing this one in breakout or just like that?
We can do it in breakouts. We can do it live as well. Both are ready.
I think we're not a big group. Let's do it live, this one. So I'm going to show you again on, sorry. So if you are on Stormz, please, you see this little house. If you still see the word cloud with Mentimeter, go back here to the main place, and you see that we have another activity that is visible now using digital tools. Okay. So we have the do's and the don'ts. I'd like you, based on your experience, to think about all the do's. What are the positive practices, the thing that we should do while using digital tools for workshop? And on the right side of the screen, the don'ts, the potential pitfalls or things we should avoid when using digital tools for workshop. Okay, so as soon as you think of something, you write it down on Stormz, and then we're going to debrief all together. And you know what? I'm going to ask, we're going to have fun. We're going to see if the AI is able to find some good ideas. I'm generating some ideas of do's and don'ts. So, do explain clearly to participants how to use the technology. The planning, make it easy to use as is possible. Don't make it unnecessarily complex. That's true. That's also true for low-tech, by the way. Estimate time that would take all to feel comfortable with the tech. The AI is saying use tools with real-time collaboration feature. Not a great suggestion from the AI. Then it says ensure strong internet connectivity. This one is really important. Thank you, AI. Provide technical support during the workshop. Clear communication on how to use tech for participants. Consider the audience. Comenzar con una clara explicación. Start with a very clear explanation of how to use it. Consider the equipment, the bandwidth, and the connection before. I don't know what means elegir las herramientas, Hector.
Choose the tools. The choice of tools should be good and clear.
Participants should remain at the center of learning. Yeah, indeed. Technology is not the star. Participants are the star, and ideas are the star. Getting all the voices in the room. Focus on the goals, not using the tools exactly. Be very clear for why it is used and why what value it brings. Do clearly signpost input created by AI. Yeah, this is something that we said in the last session. Make sure the participants know how to use it before using. Quality program design that aligns with client desired outcomes. Do provide alternatives for people who do not want or can't use the technology. And that's interesting. I never done that, in fact. Use it if you have time by doing a good explanation and a practice session. Prepare good preparation for using. Encourage attitude of experimentation and adventure with new tools. Oh, this is interesting. Mindset. Allow for anonymous space to ask the hard questions. Okay, what about the don'ts now?
Well, let's see the don'ts. There's a lot of things about moving. I think there's a lot of interest is technology can immobilize people. That's interesting. We're going to be showing something that Alex does that actually makes the technology used for you to move actually, but definitely is and they not using it only as a wow effect. That not using technology just for show. That's a good one actually. I think that would be a good one. Don't know don't assume everybody knows how to use the technology. Actually, that applies even to low tech. Have to say, I once had an issue in facilitating a session that there were issues with people not being able to read or write. When you assume everybody knows how to read or write, and then you give them something to do and they have to actually read or write, you're in trouble. So you actually have to. It's something that we can easily how do you say it? Don't see. Took for granted.
Yeah, forget.
For granted.
Yeah.
You can take for granted, but you actually have to make sure what actually people can do.
But you know, Hector, what you say, I think that's a lot of the do's and don'ts that I see here are applicable to any kind of technology or activity or methodology.
I think that's true. It's a basic facilitation. Yeah.
If you look at number 46, which is encourage attitude of experimentation, it's the same if you're using a creativity, a force connection card deck. I mean, it's something that a lot of people might not be used to do, and they have to have the right mindset. Getting prepared is the same. Make sure participants know how to use. It's the same. As soon as you're using a sophisticated methodology, you have to be very clear in your instructions. Don't immobilize people. It's true, but again, you could do a lot of low-tech activities that keep people at their table. So all of that, and all of these do's and don'ts are absolutely fine, but in fact, they are not specific to using digital tools.
Yeah, they're applicable to every facilitation you would do. Absolutely.
I'd like to have a few comments, or maybe anyone who would like to share an experience about using a digital tool, and a good or a bad, or something they would like to share. Please unmute yourself.
Go ahead, Miguel Angel.
Hi, everyone. Basically, I was in a project. It was on a bank, and it was more like a social development. And we had a project thinking that there was power outlets everywhere. So when the supervisors went to the different communities, even in the mountains, there wasn't any power outlets. And we assumed, because we're in the city, we're, in the urban areas. So at the end, we were glad that they had markers and rotafolios. So eventually they needed to work it out. But then on the second round, we needed to do like a survey to see all those communities, the main room, or even in a house that it was lended from a person or the municipal building, if they had it or not. So in the second round, we finally end up getting where were the place that we have power and where we didn't. So we adjust some of the basic, like low tech and high tech in order to deliver the project, basically.
Yeah. So what you say is something that I learned the hard way, because as I said, I've been using Stormz in a room since 2012, and the technology was not the Wi-Fi, for example, was not as good at that time. And now when I'm using technology for in-person workshop, I have a full page of questions that I ask at my first scope meeting. Okay, I ask if they have in which room we are going to be, where are the power plugs, what kind of Wi-Fi they have, what kind of technology is the Wi-Fi, what is the process that you need to do to connect to the Wi-Fi, because sometimes you have the simple process, which is just put a password and it works. And sometimes you have a complex password, you have to go to a URL, you have to put your email, you have to get a code, or you have to put a code that is different for each one of the participants. So all of that, it's okay, as soon as you are prepared for it. So the big do for each one of you, if you are going to use technology in the room, even if in 2023 it's much easier than 10 years ago, well, you have to ask all the questions before. So it's maybe, Hector, it's something that we can send to everyone, my technical checklist.
That would be great.
Yeah, it's something that I can send, and you'll see that there are a lot of questions. We ask for a specific table for the facilitator, for this table to have enough power plugs, etc., etc. So, and
There's
also
a comment
this is,
there.
yeah.
Sorry, just there's a comment there by Bruce that he says that that the focus is to make sure everyone is doing the same activity or task. It is more of a chore to do that than using high tech or no. I would say that it applies in both cases, because sometimes you might design a very complex activity with different steps and it's low tech, and you still have to invest the time and show people, okay, this step A, B, and C, and D, and E. And when you're doing high tech, it's the same thing. So it's, I don't think it's high or low tech. It's how your design is done and the steps. Sometimes for certain groups, you have to make them go step by step, very like A, everybody does it, then B, everybody does it, then C, and there are groups that you can give them A to Z, and they will be able to do it all the way. It depends on the context, the goals, and the complexity of the group. There are groups that can handle very complex instructions if they're used to be facilitated. I've worked in companies that they use facilitators very frequently, and they're used to have a facilitator giving lots of instructions. If you're working with a group that is the first time they're doing a facilitated session, then you probably have to just take them by the hand, and move them step by step. That would be my take. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I agree. And what I wanted to show also is an article that we've written in 2018, which is that the foundation for using technology for in-person workshop is to put it into, by the way, for any kind of workshop, is to put it under control. And you have to put the devices under control. So now in 2023, phones are, 99% of participants have good quality phones, so it's less of a problem. But if you want to really control the device, you bring your own device. You bring tablets, for example, or at least you make sure that they're going to work. You have to make sure that the software that you're going to use, if it's something else than Stormz, it really works well for the number of participants, for example. Very important, the Wi-Fi, the internet connection. Even in 2023, 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, I was facilitating in a church from the Middle Age in France, and the walls were thick like that, and in most of the room there was absolutely no network. Hopefully, in the only room that we were using, there were some LTE and 4G network, so we were able to use the phone of the participants. Nevertheless, this is exactly the kind of thing that you need to ask. And very important, don't trust your client to be able to give you the answers. Ask for the IT person responsible for the room and to speak to them directly so that there is no misinterpretation in between.
And
again, I speak from experience.
And if you can go and visit and do it yourself, because sometimes even the IT person will give you, no, it's okay, everything's fine, it's going to work. And they promise you that everything's going to be great with 80 people there and their phones working and connecting all at the same time.
And the last point of the article is so important, and again, based on my experience, is that sometimes they're going to tell you, oh, don't worry, Alex, it's okay, it's going to work. We have already done a workshop in this condition, it's going to work. And you're okay, I'm not going to insist because they're going to think I'm really annoying. So, and then arrive the day of the workshop and it doesn't work. So ask the question, even if you are annoying your client. Voila, this is what I wanted to say. So there is this article. I'm going to put the link in the PDF too.
So it would be also then great that if we can just share with all of you some examples of blending of low and high tech tools, because I think that would be our main, right? Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, yeah. I think where is my presentation? Here. One last thing about that. Do we have time for this slide?
Yeah, for the 17, yeah.
The one thing I've been hearing tens of time in my career is, oh no, we don't want. Am I sharing my screen?
I'm sharing the screen. It's okay.
Okay. So the one thing that I've been hearing a lot is, no, from the clients, I don't want digital tools. Participants will be the nose in their phone. So it would be true if you were a bad facilitator and a bad workshop designer, but it is not, because you're going to design carefully. So first of all, when you design, you, for 1 minute on the phone or on the iPad, on the laptop, there will be time minute of discussion. And you can evaluate that when you design your different activities. How much time on the screen, how much time discussing, building, sketching, etc. And you have to find the right balance. Then most of people think that when you use digital, well, it's going to be smartphone for every participant. It is not true. Most of the time, you don't need one device, one participant per device. Most of the time, you give one device per 3 persons. That's the trinome. I love trinomes. For example, I do a lot of one iPad for 3 persons, but then it could be one device per circle of discussion, 6 or 9 people. Maybe one of them has a laptop and capture the best insight from the table. So if you do that, well, at the end, the participants are going to spend 99% of their time discussing, evaluating on high value stuff, and very little time on the phone or on the screen. So this is really, really important, because it's a common mistake that people have when you tell them that you're going to use digital tool in the workshop. Make sense? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so now examples. You need to go into slideshow, because the first example is a video.
Yep.
So I love low tech. I love high tech. By the way, the name of my facilitation agency is called ILO. So even if I was the inventor of Stormz, a high tech tool, I've been combining this stuff since the beginning. So here, we're going to show you example of real life activities that we've been doing, and we'll be starting with the mood board. So maybe you can launch the video. Okay. So this is an example of an activity that I designed, I don't remember, 5-7 years ago. I'm very young on the picture. So you see that, first of all, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of talking, because at first, in the first part, I think they were in group of 2, and they had to sift through all the different pictures. I could have put only digital pictures, and they could have used only Stormz to do that, but I prefer to put all this. I remember with my wife Isabel going to this shop and buying tens of magazines and cutting all the papers, putting them on the tables, so they can sift through it. So all the low-tech modalities that we talked about at the beginning of this webinar. And you see that they take a paper, they give it to everyone. And then we use the high-tech tool to capture the images and to share them. And the one thing that where we go further than the low-tech way of doing that is that as they put a keyword at the same time, we not only have the visual mood board with the pictures, but we also have the insight cloud with the different words expressing what they wanted to express. And if you click on a word, you could see the different pictures that had this word. So sharing, analyzing, wow effect, and documenting at the same time. So that, for me, it's the perfect example of a high-low activity. And one of the two is that even if you could do it the full digital way, well, add some movements, add some physical props and artifacts, and it's going to change the dynamic a lot. And you're going to have the best of both worlds. So that was the first example. Second, ideation. So this one I use a lot. It's a way, I like post-it notes because, as I said, you can write very fast, you can generate a lot, it's very easy. But you don't need to capture all of the ideas. A lot of the ideas at the beginning are not very interesting. So this activity is a way to get the best of both worlds again. So you imagine circle of 6 persons. Tables or no table, but circle of 6 persons. And you can do that with a group of 100 people. It's not a problem. So you first ask each one of the participants to ideate on post-it individually and put the post-it notes on the table. Then they get in a group of 3 and they have to select 10 out of the 30. Then they go in group of 6 or 9, depending on the size of the circle. And again, they have to select 10 out of the 20. And the 10 that they have selected, these ones, and only at this stage, they capture them in the digital tool. So if you have 10 circles, you have 100 ideas. So 100 ideas is a lot, but you've captured everything. And then you can use AI. So you use AI to do the clusterization, at least the first stage of clusterization. You use the digital tool to do all the rating, the shortlisting, etc., because it's better, it goes faster, and you can display the result in real time. And then you have your final selection in the tool. You export and you document everything. So for me, it's a great way to combine post-it notes and digital notes. Next one. And don't hesitate to ask questions if you have. Yeah, well, here you see it's the typical example of not needing one device per participant. I just need one device per circle of discussion. Okay? Yeah, Bruce.
My question is about switching over to the high tech. If you could go back to the previous slide. At step 4, going into the clusterization, what's the value of doing that using high tech versus just clustering it in person?
Basically, a really good clusterization takes a lot of time, okay? And you often don't have that time. And if you have it, you could do it. You could absolutely do it the manual way. but AI clusterization will make it a lot faster because it's going to do the clusterization in 1 second, in 10 seconds. And at least a first round of clusterization, I have to be careful. It's not a perfect clusterization, but then it makes the other round much faster. It's also a great way to make sense of hundreds of ideas very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the categorization is not the best, at least it enables to see, okay, there is these ideas about that, these ideas about that. So it's really convenient.
One of the things is it gets duplicates out very quickly.
Yeah.
That normally takes a lot of time. So if you have 3 ideas and 30 participants, you have 90 ideas, and you have to sift through all of them. That would take forever. So definitely, it's worth it to use it when you have a limited amount of time.
And another example that here it's a device that is called the Catchbox. I don't know if you know the Catchbox. It's great. It's just very expensive, but if you have one, it's the typical example of something that is high-low, because they put a mic, which is high-tech, into something and into an activity where you throw the microphone, so it's moving and you can have some fun activities with it. So talking, moving, and sharing. So for me, it's a great example of a device that creates this kind of high-low system.
And if you have it, we're deeply envious of you.
I have 2.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
At the time, they were cheaper. Okay. I love open space or any kind of unconference format like Barcamp. I also love World Cafe. And this is where you need to be very careful when you add a little bit of digital in something that works very well like open space, okay? You have to use it exactly at the right spot in the methodology so that it doesn't trump the principles. So you have to deeply understand the methodology and you keep the principles, the movement, the discussion dynamics. And for example, in open space, if you know the methodology, there are 2 good use of a tool like Stormz or another tool. The marketplace, if you have a large group and don't have a lot of time, the marketplace would be much quicker if you send the ideas through a digital tool and if you select the ideas for the different discussions through a digital tool. And it would keep kind of the same dynamic. But this one is optional. The one that a digital tool is great is for documentation. If you look at the picture, you see that we keep the dynamic in the small group. The small group is discussing on one topic, and you see they still have a flip chart, they still discuss, and only one of them has an iPad. And with this iPad, the person is collecting the key insights from the discussion. And that way, it's totally seamless. It doesn't break the dynamic, but it brings much more value. It's way faster to document, and you don't need to ask them to go into a specific room to do the documentation. Before that, the World Cafe. In the World Cafe, the harvest phase is one of the most difficult to do right, in my opinion. And using a digital tool to do the harvesting of the ideas, depending on the topic, etc. But most of the time, using a digital tool to collect the ideas and highlight the ones that are the most promising is really, really better using a digital tool. Okay, next one. Next one is an example of an icebreaker. So where we ask participants to take a photo of their group. So you have the moving, the talking, the touching between all of the participants. And then you have instant sharing. So if you have a lot of participants, a big room, and then you can create activities on top of that once you have that in the digital tool. So again, be careful of the wow effect that should not be the primary purpose. And it's true, Hector. I'll let you say that. It's to
sometimes we just want to use the technology to ensure the client that they hired a great facilitator and that will wow the audience, and we just throw a software there just to make people think that we're really great facilitators, or just to amaze people. And we have to be careful in that. Sometimes icebreakers can be a two-edged sword. You can wow the participants, but it's not related with the goal of the session. And that's very common, that you have, hey, I have this really great icebreaker, and it has nothing to do with the topic or the theme or the discussion. And then what you do is that the first activity is a great activity, people connect, but then you have to do another thing to connect people with the topic, with the theme, with the issue. So you spend 15, 20 minutes breaking the ice, but then you're again breaking the ice with the theme or the topic again. So you're investing a lot of time just to kind of like, yeah. So you have to be careful, just making sure that the wow factor is not the primary purpose. Make sure that each icebreaker is linked to the session's purpose.
So I'm going to move to the next one. I'm not going to do it because we don't have a lot of time, and it's very similar to the next one. So prototyping. So of course, prototyping, you have to keep it. I mean, the building part has to be low tech, of course. But then building the prototype is just the first part of an activity. Normally, then you have to pitch the prototype and you have to assess the prototype and evaluate if it's a great promising concept or not. And this sharing, selecting, and analyzing the result in real time is much easier to do with a good decision-making tool. And also the analysis and showing the result visually will enable a better discussion. So it's a kind of blended where first you do low tech, then you do high tech, but the activity in itself is blended. Okay.
Time to get to work. Oh, Candace, so there's a comment by Candace.
Hi, I just had a question actually with back when you were talking about Open Space Bar Camp World Cafe, you said don't get limited by screen size. Can you say what you meant by that?
Well, what we meant by that is that sometimes people would say, hey, instead of using a flip chart, they use a digital flip chart or digital whiteboard to document stuff live. So each space will have a projector or something like that. The problem with that, using that, is that you're limited by the space that can be projected. So ideas, if you start collecting lots of ideas, you'll have to scroll. And if somebody arrives at the open space at that table, they will miss the prior information. So using flip charts and making sure all of them are located in a space where everybody can see them, even if they're just arriving, because in open space that can happen a lot when people just come in and go into the discussion. So just making sure that the information is available for everyone, the full size of the information, the full space, because if not, then it would be very difficult for someone that just arrived to get the handle of what's happening of the discussion. So for documenting, that's great, but for just having the discussion in the screen, that not so much.
Okay, so it's about
making
sure that your display size is accurate, no matter it's high or low.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There was an interest before we go. Oh no, yeah, we need to go into the breakout.
Yeah.
So really the idea is that all of that was for your inspiration. So I hope that you have taken notes because now we have a challenge for you, right, Hector?
Yes, we want you to go out and let's try and invent a high-low activity. We want you to go out and invest. I think it's going to be 8-10 minutes, teams of 3 or 4. So you can go out and you can do it in Spanish or in English, depending on your language and your preferred language. You can just go and try it out. Let's say, hey, how can we do a blended activity? Something that you already do, maybe something digital high tech can help it, or something that you do high tech, you can embed, you can do something that's low tech in the face-to-face as well. So we want you to just try out, have a discussion, and going into Stormz. You're going to find out that a new activity has been enabled.
Yeah.
Right. And now you're going to be able to just brainstorm the activity. You just create the activity, and once you create it, what we said, it's the plop activity. That's our favorite activity here. And then you can just insert the goal, the technology, and the flow of instruction. It doesn't matter if it's complete. If you finish to design it, we just want to see where your ideas flow. We just want you to try things.
If it's a bit crazy and you're not sure it's going to work, not a problem. Let's go crazy. Let's go a little bit wild, and let's try to have a vast range of ideas of how to blend low tech and high tech. Are you okay with the challenge? Yeah.
You good?
That's going to be fun.
Oh, let's make it happen then. See you in a little bit.
Ahorita la estoy buscando, un segundo.
Welcome back. Bienvenidas, bienvenidos, Bernadette, Laura, Fabio. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Great to have you again.
Last 5 minutes.
We know it was very little time, and we gave you a very tall order.
Plenty of time. Come on. 5 minutes to invent a great new innovative activity that's going to change the world.
Oh, really?
That's easy.
Yeah.
It's a seed of an idea.
I don't know if we got the full memo. I don't know if my group got the full memo.
I never say all the instructions. You have 5 minutes, save the world.
Or 5 minutes to say goodbye.
That's easier. Okay.
That's
Hector, can you share your screen? Can we just have a quick look at some of the ideas? Okay, who want to talk about the mocktail of the summer?
What is there? Okay. Well, I took the notes, so I guess I can talk about it.
Yeah.
I think we actually got into we kind of designed it as we did it, which was a little bit tricky.
It's a challenge, no problem. So what's the core of the idea, the seed of the idea?
I think it was ideation, and it was a version of you know, we brainstormed ingredients, and then we would kind of share. We brainstormed a list, and then we were going to sort of pick among them individually, and then share and kind of select until we came up with the top 5 sort of ingredients from our internal voting. Somebody else.
What is low tech? You have low tech ingredients, real ingredients, right?
Right. Well, right. And then we would have tools like technology, like a blender. But we would, but this drink would save the world because it's so healthy and energizing that everybody would fall in love with it. And before you know it, it would be the most popular drink in the world.
Yeah, I absolutely believe you. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. A quick word about the international conference planning.
Well, this is a real life, as we speak, a challenge in the IAF. We're trying in the Americas, we're trying to plan a conference that in a few months. And so this is, our main idea was to establish this, having equity indicators for all parts of the conference planning, you know, to say, well, because there are issues that are economic and others that are language-based and other abilities. And so we didn't get too far because we were
understand.
Good time, but But you get the idea anyway of the focus. Exactly how we'd sort it out, we don't know yet.
Okay, we need a workshop for that.
Yeah,
Okay,
we do.
next one. Okay, something with Jamboard, sketching, flipbook. Laura is had to leave, so who can present that idea?
I can try, but my English is the worst. Okay. We was thinking about using high and low tech to make a presentation, and we said that we can use papers and markers to draw each other and take a photo to make a get to know activity, but we didn't. The goal is to make presentations of the group that doesn't know each other, and the instructions are already there, but it's a simple like using markers and maybe flip chart or papers to draw, and then take the photos and post and make a presentation of the people. This activity was made for me, Elika, Ilka, and Laura. I hope you guys understood.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, totally. Your English is as good as mine. And also, that's funny because I did something very similar for a creativity conference a few years ago. Anyway, thank you. Let's go to the last one. And sorry, guys, we still need 1 more minute. So, Robert, would you like to present? If you're still here.
I am, but I think I'm going to elect Mary Ellen to present this, if I may.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry for being late for a few minutes.
Yeah, so this is kind of a combination of low tech and high tech in the sense of identifying some commonalities of exciting marketing ideas, looking at the current retail situation post-pandemic, looking at both traditional retail as well as online. And so the goal is really to do fact finding as it relates to related and unrelated work in the retail area post-pandemic. And so the technology will be Stormz and cameras. And also the fact that we're doing some of this synchronously and some of it asynchronously.
Yeah, I see that. Wow, that's very sophisticated. Oh my God. Bravo.
So,
really interesting, really interesting.
Yeah.
So the flow would be having a kickoff session to explain what we're doing, and then going to encourage people to go to both retailers that are around them and find things that grab their attention, because what we're trying to do is to really find out what in the current marketplace catches people's attention, and to do that both in a traditional store, using things that are close to their category, as well as things that are kind of far off. And then also to do that online, including Amazon or any other retail space, in order to find things, again, that catch their attention when they're looking at products. And when you're doing this, you're taking pictures or short videos being 6 seconds or less of what grabs your attention. And then you load that up into Stormz. And that's the asynchronous activity, is to load the things into Stormz. And then people will comment on others' photos and short videos, not their own, but on others, in order to see what catches others' attention.
Yeah.
And then we gather together synchronously, we discuss what has transpired, we categorize them and or rate, and then identify what's common and what insights that we have, and some exciting marketing attention getters. And then we ideate based on how this can relate to our category.
My God, we have a full-blown offering. I hope
Really cool.
everyone took note, because you could absolutely sell that to your clients tomorrow.
Absolutely. Great work there.
We need to hurry. Is there another one? I see another one.
Actually, there are two more.
So Robert and
No, I mean another.
We have
we're
another one
missing-
in Spanish. Yeah, we have another one in Spanish.
And by the way, if you
Fátima.
have to go, no problem. I understand.
Ok, entonces, ¿tenemos tiempo para esto, Héctor?
Adelante, Jimena.
Bien, hemos planeado parte de un taller cuyo objetivo es dar una noticia de un cambio muy importante y probablemente difícil de asimilar a un equipo comercial de 10 personas de una pequeña empresa. Y queremos que tengan la oportunidad de expresar cómo se sienten al respecto, cuál es el impacto de esta noticia, de este cambio sobre el grupo y sobre cada persona, y luego proponer, hacer acuerdos, pedirles que planteen ideas y hacer acuerdos sobre cómo manejar juntos esta nueva situación de una forma efectiva. No terminamos todo, pero pensamos que podemos iniciar con un video presentando la noticia. Podemos utilizar alguna herramienta como, por ejemplo, un Padlet que trabaje cada persona desde su celular, expresando cómo les impacta la noticia, y luego tener la oportunidad de trabajar en pequeños grupos para acabar de procesar, de hacer algo de catarsis sobre la forma como les impacta, y luego trabajar juntos en consolidar como un pequeño plan de acción y tener un ritual de cierre muy emotivo y positivo, con compromisos personales y con la esperanza de vamos a salir adelante. Eso es todo.
Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Es muy bien.
Thank you very much, Alex. The
Claro.
workshop will be my workshop, and the group has contributed a lot to my challenge.
Okay, so they're gonna have a little bit of royalties from your workshop. Okay, Hector, we need to close this webinar. As always my fault. I speak too much and I'm late, always.
Well, the thing is, when we talk about things we love and we're passionate about, it's difficult not to get into the process and talk. And just, I mean, we would be talking all day about this if we like. Actually, we've had in our preparations, we've spoken so much about this, and we've enjoyed it as much as all of you, and we really love having you here. We're going to be just a quick reminder that in 2 weeks time, we have our next summer camp. We're going to be talking about low carbon workshops. Talking about sustainability. How can we do sustainability and facilitation? We have some discussions about that, and sometimes so hopefully we'll be able to see you there, and you can invite others. I think we've had a pretty good rally here, and some of you have also asked about connecting with us. So I'm going to be I think most of us we've already connected, but if you haven't connected with us on LinkedIn, you can see our links in the chat. If you want to connect with Alex or myself, please feel free. We're going to be uploading the webinar as well. So if you weren't able to see it for the full length, we're going to be uploading it as well. And yeah, so it's been a great here for us. It's also been a journey, right, Alex? Because we're actually been exploring about what other offerings in order to help and support and train facilitators, And this has been also an exploration for us. So hopefully soon we'll give you some good updates on that.
And I would love if you start experimenting some blending high-tech, low-tech stuff. Please reach out and tell us about your experience. We really love to experiment and to hear about others experimenting. So thank you so much. Sorry again for being so late and speaking too much. And we leave you here, and we hope to see you to the next one. Low carbon, sustainability with the heat waves that we have right now on the planet. It's really important that we have some discussion about that.
And if you want to smile, so you can take a picture of all of you.
Yeah.
Smile. Smile. 3, 2, 1. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for those beautiful smiles. Appreciate it.
So bye-bye, everybody. If you want to say a word, feel free. Hector and I will be there for a few minutes. So you can leave if you want. You can say hello. You can stay to have a cup of coffee with me, whatever you want. Bye-bye, Carlos. Beatriz.
Chao, muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Bye.
De
Que estén muy
nada.
bien. Feliz tarde. Chao.
Muchas gracias. Feliz día. Chao.
Ciao, ciao.